Hello, and welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast. We are here weekly talking movies largely inspired by the world of physical media. My name is Kurt.
My name is Sam.
We're also joined by our frequent co-host and good buddy, Bobby. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, friends.
Hello, Bobby.
Thanks for having me back. Missed you.
Missed you too. And we're also here with Kimberly, our fantastic producer.
Hello, we're here once again.
On today's episode, we have rated our collections for political movies. We've each picked a couple, and we'll be talking about those soon. Perhaps recommending them, perhaps not.
I actually only picked one from my physical collection.
Okay. But first, as always, I'd love to hear how your weeks were in movies. Did you guys watch anything?
I mainly watched stuff for this episode. I was a little busy this week.
Right on. Same.
Bobby, what'd you watch?
So I went and saw Anora in the cinemas.
Oh, sweet. I'm seeing it next weekend.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to.
How'd you feel about it, Bobby?
I loved it. I love Sean Baker, and I loved this movie.
Nice.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I thought it was his best.
Wow.
His best.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so sweet and surprising. And then I saw the Vavitch in IMAX.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
You know, I saw it 10 years ago when it came out, and I've seen it, every couple of years or so. And I think it's so terrifying. And it is a masterpiece
Mm-hmm.
I need to revisit it.
that he has not been able to match since. We'll see about Nosferatu.
Wow, shots fired at the Northman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Even The Lighthouse.
I like The Lighthouse a lot. Yeah.
I love The Lighthouse.
Northman fucking rules. You guys are all wrong.
Really?
Oh my
you
God.
like The Northman?
Really?
I think the Northman is definitely good and worth seeing.
It's well done. I just don't want to watch it. I'm like, ugh.
That's fair. But I stand by the Northman
Wow.
without a doubt.
I do not.
Okay, well, the Vavitch is something of
Something
of a yeah. Remember the marketing campaign?
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
like,
yes.
and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see the Vavitch, and people are like, the witch.
My friend Andrew texted me like 2 days ago and it just said The Vavitch.
Wow.
He must have seen it too in IMAX.
It was sort of one of those early jokes that I adopted when a movie was released, sort of similar to Precious, based on a novel Pushed by Sapphire. Like,
Yeah.
I would oftentimes, anytime there was an opportunity to use the word precious, also to include based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire was really important.
That's awesome that they re-released it.
Oh, and it's so good, and it's so scary. It's so scary.
Ooh, I bet the sound was so good.
The sound is great. Anya Taylor, happy, joy, sad, whatever she is. I don't really like her that much. She is great in this movie.
She really is. I think it is her best performance.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay, Kurt and Kim. Hey.
We went to a little backyard screening at some friend's house last night, and I rewatched, and Kim got to discover for the first time The Conjuring. James Wan's
hell
The
yeah.
Conjuring. Scary movie.
The Conjuring is scary.
I'm fine with them, but they didn't
2 and 3 suck.
I have no desire to see any more.
3 actively is terrible. And the first hour of 2 is like unrelentingly scary, and the second hour of 2 is an utter nightmare. And 3 is so bad.
What about other items in the Conjuring universe, such as Annabelle Origin or whatever? There's
Or
one
The Nun.
Annabelle movie, or The Nun. There are a couple that are actually Ouija. Is Ouija part of that?
It might be. I don't know.
There's a subset of bad studio B movies like Ouija and whatever the hell. Their sequels or origin spinoffs were markedly better.
Well, so that's what I've heard. I never saw Ouija, but the second one, I think, is a prequel to what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And I believe it's directed by Mike Flanagan, and people really like that movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Conjuring, Kim, did you like it? Patrick Wilson.
I had a really good time with it because I was kind of having a hard time getting in the mood for Halloween this year. And I feel like by watching a spooky movie outside with a bunch of blankets and wine and friends, it was like, oh, I feel like finally in the mood for Halloween, and it spooked me. Like, I definitely jumped many times, and I'm a easy scare though. It was really fun though to watch it like that.
It's also one of those movies that I would put with The Mummy Returns, that's all about how marriage is strengthened through turmoil, joint terror, really terrible situations. Look at that psychic couple.
Yeah.
They're so healthy. They're like the epitome of a healthy marriage.
I'm very happy for Patrick Wilson and Vera
Farmiga.
for like they definitely
They landed.
They landed and they're getting paid for all the
franchise.
Conjurings.
Yeah. The first one though is Lily Taylor is the one. Yeah, she's quite great in it too.
Back in the haunted house.
Yeah, back in it. Poor Lily.
Yeah.
Oh God. And her husband is somebody in it, right?
Ron Livingston. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
He's great. And then baby Joey King, who I don't really know anything about, but
And
we're
Murph
like, oh, yeah.
from Interstellar.
It's true.
Oh shit, she's in that.
Yeah.
anyway, it was a fun watch.
There are some really good scares in it.
There's incredible
Ooh,
scares
yeah.
in that.
We also watched last week, probably right after we recorded last episode, we watched Paramount's 4K of Rosemary's Baby, finally.
Oh, nice.
So good.
Boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Rosemary's Baby. That movie is so good. It's crazy
fantastic.
how good that movie is.
I rewatched it last month. It's so good. It's so scary.
It's just like the subtext of that movie.
Oh, it's so...
Oh, it's awful.
It's all subtext for the most part. It's just like not what's actually happening in front of you, but you just know what they're up to. And like Cassavetes is just so despicable in it.
I know.
The way he leaves the room every time he gets a little new piece of information about how she's dealing with her pregnancy, what she's doing and not doing that she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
He gets giddy.
He'll always be running out the door to grab a pack of cigarettes, but like you know he's going next door to the Cassavetes.
Mhm.
Who's the one of the members who's older? She's the one that rocks the baby at the end really violently.
Yeah.
With like the cat eye sunglasses or eyeglasses.
Yeah, and she's got like a 2-part name it's just like so like Christian sounding,
Mhm.
and so it's just so funny. It's so the detail is
Oh
just
my
so
God.
funny. The devil is in those details.
Truly. And she's just like gaunt. Like Mia Farrow is like a skeleton of a human.
She's so good too.
I know. I just feel so frightened for. I like experienced this movie maybe because I'm older in a new light that it was really upsetting.
I think it truly features the scariest sequence ever filmed, which is the
Dream.
dream. Yeah.
So terrifying.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's so upsetting. It is a true nightmare.
Yeah.
That's like, it has the logic of a nightmare.
Yeah. Wait, Sam, can you tell us about your all-night theater extravaganza fright night thing?
Oh, yeah. The last time that we recorded, I was going to an all-night horror marathon at the Hollywood, which I've done for the past many years. It's always a mystery. And I think I said this on the last episode, but this year they announced it was going to be a collection of some of the movies they've shown from past ones. So it was 3 movies on 35 millimeter and 1 digital presentation. So it started about 9:30, and it started with 1981's The Burning, which is a great...
I think we've talked about it on the show, right? There was a Scream Factory 4K of it.
I believe we have. Yeah, it's a traditional 80s camp slasher movie that's not like it's a campy slasher movie, but it also takes place at a summer camp. And then that went into Slugs, which was the digital presentation of the evening. Slugs is awesome. It's about killer slugs.
You better believe I bought Slugs.
Yeah, there's been many a
This
Blu-ray arriving at our house that is Slugs.
Did the first one not arrive in good condition, and so you've had to send a lot back, Kurt? Is that why?
I did replace a copy of Slugs.
Okay. Got
The
it.
first one was
Got
actually
it.
a slug.
There was a pierced back on the artwork.
Ooh.
Like, it had been squished.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, that's absolutely not.
Didn't meet the standards. I always think of you too, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, hard no. Send it back.
When it's an external dent, I think of Bobby. When it shows up without a slip, if I knew it had a slip at one point, I think of Sam. And if it's scratched, factory scratch disc,
That's you.
You think of yourself.
myself. The trifecta of physical media problems. So yeah, I can't wait to watch Slugs, Sam. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Yeah, Slugs is awesome. Then it was into The Gate. A young Steven Dorff is in this movie. He's probably honestly like 12 in it.
Oh, wow.
His parents go out of town for a weekend, and a tree in his backyard gets struck by lightning, and it opens a gateway to hell, and he's got to deal with that.
Is The Gate awesome?
The Gate is awesome, without a
I
doubt.
think I always think The Gate and The Keep are the same thing.
They are different things.
Yeah.
So that was at like 3:50 3:15ish, the fourth movie was going to start, and I had to open work the next day. So I left at that point.
Wow. Okay. You made it a while, though. Like, I'm impressed.
They normally do this where they save like an Italian, like gross out zombie gore movie for the last, and it was Burial Grounds. And I've never loved that movie. So I wasn't super sad about missing that.
Right on.
But it was great. We had a great time. I can't wait to go again next year. I always dread it. And then the minute it starts, I'm like, oh yeah, we're buckled in and we're good.
It's disturbing to me how Sam texted me all caps the word slugs and then all lowercase the words dude, just slugs, dude. And within 8 seconds, I adored it.
Incredible.
Peer pressure.
Truly.
That's really fun, Sam. I don't think my body could do it, but I admire the dedication.
The thing is like, it's not like the Music Box where you were there for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you get in a line about 7:30, maybe a little bit before. I think doors open about 8. You get settled in, and then they just start coming at you, man.
And then you just take it down.
You just go one at a time. They bring in free donuts after the third one.
That's nice.
After the second one, they give you free coffee.
I've told this story before on this podcast, but I'll tell it again. One time, Sam and I went to a 24-hour horror marathon at the Music Box in Chicago. It started at 10 a.m. and ended at 10 a.m. or noon to noon?
Noon to noon.
Yeah, noon to noon. And we walked out at noon after it ended, and Sam just vomited in the street from being overly tired or overly scared or overly overwhelmed. I don't know, but
so many things.
It's a formative experience.
Yeah, the last movie that year was The Exorcist. And I remember being so sleep deprived and fucked up, and I just kept turning to Kurt, and I was just like, man, this movie's so fucked up, dude.
And you walked outside and turned into the guy from Team America.
You're like what the myth has foretold, you know?
Yeah.
People running out of the aisles puking.
Yeah.
People run out of the theaters and vomit.
It did it to you.
That was only the second time I had ever tried to watch The Exorcist, and I'd watched it when I was probably in 5th grade. I was very young, and it scared the shit out of me. And I threw up that night too. So you tell me.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there.
Wow, pea soup, Sam.
Who'd have thought, dude? It got me.
God.
Friedkin got me again.
He got you again.
All right, before we get into political picks, I do want to touch on Arrow announced their January lineup, and I was shooting for work, so I was on set super early and texted Sam by 8:30 in the morning. I was like, I just spent so much money, and it's not even 8:30 in the morning, because Arrow's lineup for January is so good.
It's probably one of their best that I've seen since I've been following them, honestly.
I'm going to read the ones that I scooped, Sam, and then why don't you chime in with the one you got that I didn't get.
Okay.
But I got 4Ks of The Usual Suspects, The Gift, the Sam Raimi movie, which was coming out from Scream Factory, or already is coming out from Scream Factory. But personally, I'd rather get the Arrow one. A 4K of The Cell.
Hell yeah.
Starring Jennifer Lopez, Bobby's favorite actress.
Big fan of The Cell.
Yeah, can't wait for that in 4K.
Because she's one of my favorite actresses.
Hell yeah,
J-Lo, baby.
And then a limited edition, kind of big box of a 4K of Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
And that all happened to be the same month. And I
what a lineup.
Love/hate them for doing that to me.
So I chose to skip Usual Suspects, and I picked up a early William Shatner movie called Incubus, which from the sounds of it was kind of like a lost American folk horror movie, but they're also dropping that in 4K, which sign me up for. I love a 4K. I've been seeing some earlier Shatner movies pre-Star Trek, and some of them are awesome, such as Kingdom of the Spiders. So really just a knockout January from Arrow.
You gonna grab any of those, Bobby?
The Cell.
Yeah, I was like, are you buying The Cell?
Yeah,
right
are you
now?
buying it right now?
No, but I will. The Inglourious Bastards, here's my question. I don't care about all the
stuff.
The stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would like just a clean, regular Arrow release of this that isn't limited edition. Do you think that will subsequently follow this one?
My guess is yes.
I'm hoping.
Because they did that with True Romance. There have been others that they've done where they've released
They did it with Dune.
Yeah.
They do the limited box set which is fine, but I don't need all that.
Sure.
And luckily there's a jewel case inside, so we're good. The problem is that says that it includes all that stuff, so I can't just jettison it. So I need a clean.
Wait, okay. What's the issue? The size?
All the extra stuff.
You just don't want it.
It also lends itself to damage easier.
Yeah. It's like there's too many elements in there that could be screwed up.
Yeah.
It's like opening that up is like, oh my God.
This is why I hate box sets, because there's too many discs.
I know, me too. There's too much that can go wrong.
I think their big boxes are like they can like take a beating.
Yeah.
They're dense, man.
But yeah, Bobby can't handle a beating.
Like their Donnie Darko is in I have their the Blu-ray one, not the 4K one.
Yeah.
That's like beautiful, thick booklets, hardcover. It is in a very safe place in my home, just because that lends itself to so much damage.
Oh my God.
Luckily, they're sturdy though. They're really they're good boxes.
They're the best.
They're the best.
We were talking last week. We're not sure if they've changed though, because the last several, American Gigolo being an example.
Oh yeah.
They've kind of changed their packaging where they'll have like a slip sleeve over a thicker case, but the thicker case is not the same ply, if you will, as it used to be.
Yeah, I will, or I won't, you know.
I also just want to say quickly that when I ordered those arrows from Diabolic, I also included in my cart, there's going to be a 4K of Kiyoshi Kurosawa's horror movie Cure from Eureka. Cure is awesome, if people have never seen Cure.
I've not seen it, but I have that Criterion.
Nor have I.
God, it's so good.
I was thinking about getting that for the next Criterion splurge. I haven't seen it.
We should do when 7 comes out, we should do 7 and Cure back to back in an episode.
Are you so excited?
I'm very excited. They're also doing Fight Club.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But it's just a studio release, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
All they've announced is that Fincher's restoring it, remastering it or whatever, which could mean it'll be a while. Okay, we're here talking about political movies. I had a few of these in my kind of unwatched shame pile of movies. Did you guys have plenty to choose from on deck?
Honestly, not really.
I always have lists in my head. Usually it's with these subcategories, it's 10 movies. So I have 10 solid choices that I can pick from. Narrowing it down to 2 is harder.
Yeah.
But I found them.
Had you visited these 2 on Blu-ray or DVD before?
Yes, they're favorites.
Okay, cool. Mine were movies I'd seen, but not on 4K. All 3 of mine are 4Ks.
Nice. Yeah, one was a 4K that I hadn't watched, and then one was a movie that I'd seen, but not in a long time, and then one was a new discovery.
Cool.
But I looked up lists, and I kind of didn't want to choose the all the President's Men's of the world. You know, I wanted to kind of...
Boring.
I wanted to just get a little trashier, actually.
Okay.
Like Dick?
Yeah.
Oh, I really hope one
Dick
of yours
is great.
Dick.
No, Dick is not one of my picks.
I've never seen Dick.
Dick is great.
Wait, you
I didn't mean to
haven't?
spoil it.
No.
I've never seen
it's
Dick either.
so great.
I've never seen a Dick
it's
either.
So
I
good.
love Dick.
And that's our show.
Oops.
Michelle Williams and Kirsten Dunst. Where is this movie? Bring it back out.
They played it at the New Beverly pretty recently, and I'm sad that I missed it.
It's so good.
It's so
There's
fun.
so many good political movies. Okay.
So Bobby and I each picked 2. I technically kind of have a 2.5, but I'm going to present it as 2. Sam, you have 3.
Yes.
So I think the math would make sense for you to start first.
So I started this experiment. Like I said, I looked up a couple lists because I wanted to, kind of just expand my horizons and see maybe what I was missing. And I came across a movie from 1996 called City Hall.
Oh.
And this movie stars Al Pacino, John Cusack, and Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
It is directed by Harold Becker, who, Kurt, you talked about one time because he directed Taps.
Taps.
Wow.
I'm here to tell you that City Hall fucking sucks.
So there's a reason I've never heard of it.
There's
Yeah,
a reason
I've never heard
no
of
one
this.
has ever heard of this movie.
It was buried.
Oh, yeah. I mean, John Cusack has maybe the worst Louisiana accent I've ever heard.
Oh, no.
Ever.
I started this movie one time.
It is one of the most boring, I guess you can call it a political thriller, movies I've ever seen.
What's the premise?
A cop and a kid accidentally get shot in a bust gone wrong in New York. which then the whole situation is investigated by the deputy mayor, played by John Cusack.
Okay.
He kind of starts to uncover a conspiracy that may or may not lead all the way to the top. Al Pacino plays the mayor, and at no part in this movie does anything interesting happen at all.
Wow.
The stakes are never high. They're never interesting. They're never high.
The stakes of this situation are pretty high when you're calling the movie City Hall. You can only go as high as the mayor, so pretty quaint.
Is Pacino awesome?
No, it's like he's started to lose it at this point. He like gives this speech at a funeral, which is the most insane thing ever. He keeps talking about kingdoms.
He can give a speech, though, Pacino. Games of Inches.
It's just one of those movies where like halfway through it, I was like, oh, I'm going to like make myself a cup of tea. And then I didn't ever want to go back to the movie. I was like, oh, I'll do the dishes.
Well,
oh, I'll do this. Oh, like
I'll do
I guess I
anything
gotta
else
go
to
finish City
this.
Hall.
where you streamed this?
Yeah, I had to rent it off Amazon because the only thing that exists of it is a DVD. Paul Schrader did a punch up on the script.
Oh,
It just doesn't work. And like the final reveal of everything that has kind of happened in the movie is so boring.
damn. Well, there you go. It's not on Blu-ray. Fuck it.
Yeah. If you've not seen this, don't start now.
Don't watch it, people.
Oh, music by Jerry Goldsmith, though.
Yeah, dude, your boy.
Your
Oh,
boy.
man. Bobby, what do you got?
The first one I picked was Reds by
Ooh.
Warren Beatty. Have y'all seen it?
No.
I have
Neither
not.
have I.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank God I'm bringing this to the table.
God, you're here, Bobby.
This was a favorite. Like, I remember in high school, I convinced Kevin Lally, sorry, we're using names. I convinced him to help me sponsor a school screening of this movie in the theater because it was coming out on Blu-ray for the first time and I thought it would be
Amazing.
educational.
Had I graduated? I must have graduated at that point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the next year. It was literally the next. I would just demand things from the school and they would do them for me. There were only 4 people that came to this screening of a 3-hour plus movie, but I've loved Reds forever. I would put it in my top 10 favorite movies.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
But Jack's in it? Jack Nicholson's in it?
Jack Nicholson. It's a very modern film. It won Best Director. He won Best Director, probably just his sheer ambition. But it's a love story between Jack Ryan, I think his name is Jack Ryan, and Louise Bryant. Or no, I'm sorry, Jack Reed and Louise Bryant. One was a politician and the other was a journalist. And it was this very tumultuous working romantic partnership between the two of them for decades at the dawn of World War I and the Bolshevik Revolution and these very liberal politics coming or infiltrating the United States. It's just, it has this like very grandiose, sweeping, like Dr. Zhivago, you know, it's tragic, it's hilarious, there's a romantic triangle, it's a very large movie over lots of space, and it's a love story between these two people and it's Diane Keaton and Warren Beatty, and I don't think any couples had better chemistry
Wow.
in a movie.
That's amazing.
They fight the whole time. They're madly in love with each other. It's just wonderful. I highly recommend it. It's beautifully made. Throughout the movie, it has peppered interviews with people that lived during that time, that remember living in the United States and remember these historical figures. Jack Nicholson plays Eugene O'Neill, the playwright,
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
and how he was part of this, you know, elite intellectual crowd. So the reason it's political, the reason I picked it is it's entirely centered on American politics being infiltrated or being influenced rather by these socialist ideals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I see that there's a 40th anniversary Blu-ray from Paramount.
Yeah.
I want it,
It's well restored. Yeah.
but I know the minute I buy it, Paramount Presents is going to do it, but I'm going to buy it anyways.
I've been waiting.
Yes, I bet you it's coming out on Paramount Presents without a doubt.
I don't know. I don't know how popular this movie is. It's so long and it's a love story, but it's a tumultuous one in that it's on and off for 20 years. It's not Titanic. It's not It doesn't function the same way other movies do. And the politics of it are very, very left. And so you alienate a ton of audience members off the get-go.
Great pick.
Yeah. Can't wait to see it.
All right, Kurt.
I'm going to start with my two-parter, which are both 4K releases from Kino, and that is 1962 and 2004's The Manchurian Candidate.
Nice. I almost picked this.
As did I. That was my third.
Have you seen this, Sam?
I've never seen the Denzel one, but I've seen the Frank Sinatra one.
Yeah. Did you just say this is your third, Bobby?
This would have been the other one I picked if I were going to do a third one. I just love it. I love both.
The 1962 version of Manchurian Candidate is based on a book by Richard Condon. It's directed by John Frankenheimer and stars Frank Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, Janet Leigh, and Angela Lansbury. And it's essentially about a group of soldiers in the Korean War whose platoon goes missing for a few days. And when they turn up, they all tell a story of one of their soldiers saving all their lives. And that soldier is immediately awarded the Medal of Honor when they get home. And he's connected to a politician who's running for vice presidency, his stepfather, and his mother is sort of running his stepfather's campaign. But it becomes clear that the soldiers of this platoon are all suffering from identical dreams in which they're seeing visions and memories of having been abducted and kidnapped by communist soldiers and brainwashed and led to do murderous, violent acts on each other while in captivity to prove that this brainwashing has worked. And so it becomes clear that one of the soldiers that's come back that gets the Medal of Honor is a sleeper agent for communist forces and is kind of infiltrating American politics.
It's a total classic, and it's one of those movies that when you watch it, you go, "Oh yeah, this is why this is a total classic."
Mm-hmm.
It sends shivers down my spine, and it's
it
so bizarre,
so unnerving.
It's very upsetting.
Even the way the movie is made, the viewer and what we're privy to is still fractured, or from the point of view of one of the characters, perhaps. And some things feel just like they're part of a hallucination or a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Janet Leigh's character, she's so bizarre.
Yeah.
The things she says.
It features one of my all-time favorite, these soldiers being hypnotized by the communists, but it's constantly cutting between their perspective of what's happening under this hypnosis and then like the objective reality from the communist perspective, where these soldiers are sitting in a room on a stage in front of like Joseph Stalin posters and being looked down upon by all these communist soldiers. And they believe that they are in sort of some kind of
a garden party,
yeah, run by little old ladies. And it's cutting between these old women in this garden party who are saying the words of these communist soldiers who have them captive, but it's just constantly cross-cutting between these two very similarly blocked scenarios, but in drastically different settings. And little by little, it is doing it just editorially, visually, more and more, and in ways that you don't know which world you're in, and they're shooting each other in the head in one world, and in this peaceful, serene world in another version of it. It's very radical, and one of those scenes I remember seeing the first time, and it's when it sort of dawns on you kind of what's happening. It's just so creepy.
Yeah, it's kind of, you were just talking about Rosemary's Baby earlier. There's definitely similarities between the two.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I
remember parts of the Manchurian Candidate feeling more like a horror movie or a thriller than it. I guess the rest of the movie is kind of a drama, a political thriller drama.
Yeah, but there's horrific, kind of frightening elements to it for sure.
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, Angela Lansbury.
I almost wore a shirt with her on it today.
What shirt?
Wow.
I have a Murder by Death shirt that's like her, and it says murder, comma, by death. Like
amazing.
Murder, She Wrote.
So
yeah.
So good.
But Jonathan Demme, the great director.
Oh, that's who did the other one.
Yeah, The Silence of the Lambs and
Rachel Getting Married.
Ooh, Rachel Getting Married. Thank you.
Fucking rules.
God, what a great movie.
I love it.
Great.
I said that sincerely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He directed a remake of it in 2004 starring Denzel Washington, Liev Schreiber, Jon Voight, Meryl Streep, and Jeffrey Wright, among others.
Vera Farmiga, yes, she's in that.
That's right.
I had seen it once and was such a big fan of the original that I remember kind of being thrown off by the tone and the choices, but upon revisiting it, the remake is awesome.
Cool.
It's awesome. Meryl Streep is so good too.
Oh yeah, she's really fun in it. But it is disturbing, you know, in similar ways and in new ways. It takes place during like the Iraq War. And
I think it also has a better characterization of the Lawrence Harvey character, Shaw. Not his name's not Shaw. What's his name?
It is Shaw, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, not him. I'm sorry. The Frank Sinatra character.
Oh,
I think
Denzel.
has
yeah.
The Denzel Washington character has more to do. That's more interesting.
Yes.
Has more of a stake in the whole conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're both saying things about PTSD on some level, but I felt that especially in the Demi one.
Totally.
Kind of the horrors of war coming back with them. It's great. I highly recommend both. Both are great 4Ks, especially the Demi one. Just outstanding picture quality. It was a real treat.
You said they're both from Kino?
Yep.
What's the slip sleeve situation on both those bad boys?
It's good.
It's very good. The Demi one especially has a slip that's different artwork than the underside. The underside is the theatrical poster, and I'm not sure if the outside one is the slip artwork rather is maybe a teaser poster, like an actual, studio produced one or not, but it's like a button that's bleeding, campaign button.
Cool. And how fitting. I mean, you love Jon Voight's politics, so what a perfect episode for us.
I know. He's actually our special guest tonight. John,
come on out, buddy.
We've been holding you back.
What do you got next, Sam?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to go a little bit of a different route. So I chose 2016's The Purge election year.
Oh.
Oh my God, Sam.
Amazing.
Which is the third movie in the Purge franchise.
Okay.
So for those who don't know what the Purge is America has basically been taken over by a new political party called the New Founding Fathers, and they're kind of a fascist Christian regime. And they have created this thing called the Purge. So for 12 hours, once a year, every crime is legal. Murder, robbery, everything is legal. And the idea is that you get all these bad feelings out and then you can become like a closer, truer version of yourself. And in the first movie, it takes place all in a house. It's like one family trying to survive the night. The second movie follows one guy who's trying to purge to kill the people who killed his son, I think. And then the third movie starts off with, we see some campaign commercials, and there is a new senator who's a presidential candidate. So her whole campaign is to get rid of the Purge. She says, if you elect me, we're going to get rid of the Purge. It's the worst night of the year. It's terrible, blah, blah, blah.
Seems like a fair statement.
Yeah, anybody normal would be like, yes, please get rid of this. And the New Founding Fathers sense that she is gaining ground. So they change the rules of the Purge for this year that says anybody can be purged. So normally politicians and high-ranking officials cannot be a part of the Purge, and they send people off to kill her. And her head of security, played by Frank Grillo, has to protect her through this entire night. And this movie is so dumb and so silly, but I actually really like these movies for as silly as they are, and they can be a bit low budget at times. What they have to say, socially and societally, about how this night would inherently affect low-income people is really interesting, and it's really much smarter than these movies present themselves to be. And so watching this movie again, for as much as I laughed at some of the silly video game gunplay that takes place in it, there's a lot here in the actual story and the script that is smart. There's some really interesting ideas here. And the same guy, James DeMonaco, I believe his name is, James DeMonaco, excuse me, has written and directed all 5 Purge movies.
Wow.
I believe we're getting another one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, me too, honestly. I'm over here begging Arrow or anybody, whoever wants to put out a 4K box set of Purge movies, I will buy them.
I'm sure it'll happen. That rules. I've only seen the first one.
This is a franchise that I think the first one is like on the lesser side.
Oh.
I think they get better. I think the fifth one maybe falls apart a little bit, but I remember 2, 3, and 4 being like, wow, these are like way smarter than they have any right to be. So honestly, dude, the Purge election year, you should see it.
Do you have that on Blu-ray?
No, had to stream this one too. So I started streaming it on Hulu, and I'm using a friend's Hulu account. And I'm about 10 minutes in, and it just cuts to a commercial, which I lost my mind in. So I immediately had to rent it from Amazon. I was like, I will not.
Streaming is going to collapse soon.
It sucks.
It's terrible.
I streamed both, City Hall and this, and it is not my preferred way of watching anything. But again, I'm begging anybody who hears this, give me a Purge 4K box set already.
Or else
you might get Purge, you know what I mean?
Watch out.
Bobby, what do you got?
1979 Being There by Hal Ashby.
Oh, wow.
I had a stack of 3, well, 4, because 2 Manchurian Candidates. Being There was in the stack, and I didn't get to it.
Look at us. I find it so funny. I find it to be one of the sharpest satires. The premise of the movie is about a very simple older man, probably in his 60s, who is a gardener for a very wealthy man who has just died. He now is out of work and must leave this house. And he's clearly very childlike, isn't very complicated, hasn't really been out in the world a whole lot, it seems. And it's about his misadventures, or adventures rather, stumbling into all of these different scenes with politicians and celebrities who misunderstand or mistake his very simple, direct retort to be very profound, multi-layered wisdom. And it's very sweet. It's funny because it shows the foibles of humanity and how we play these social and political games, and where we seek motivation or where we find inspiration. And for it to come from just this very benign, very good-natured, innocent person is rather funny.
Did you say the people in it?
I did not. Has quite a lineup. It stars Peter Sellers as Chance the Gardener, or Chance E. Gardner. Melvin Douglas, who won an Oscar, who refused to accept it or refused to go to the ceremony because he was so insulted that he would be sharing the category and be nominated alongside a 9-year-old.
Wow.
From Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What a take.
Yeah, I know. So there's Melvin Douglas, everyone. This is also his second Oscar, mind you. He plays isn't he the president of the United States? He is the president of the United States.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, he is. And then his wife is Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah, and it's directed by Hal Ashby.
Harold and Maude, The Last Detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. We were going to watch it.
Oh, it's so good. It makes me cackle. I find it so funny.
Yeah, you'd love it, Kim. We'll do it.
Yeah.
It's so dry. It's so sharp. Yeah, it's a hoot.
When did you first see this, Bobby?
I remember my dad telling me about it when I was little. And he's like, oh, you got to see Being There. It's really, really good. And I was like, yeah. This looks kind of boring. And then Warner Brothers released a DVD probably when I was in high school, and I got it then and watched it. And I loved it, and I've seen it many times. I love it more and more as I get older.
Yeah.
Seems like one of those.
Yeah, I was just going to say it probably gets better and smarter as you understand more and more.
Not that it's so much stuff went over my head necessarily, but more the weight and the context for some of these like interactions or these bits of drama have different meaning the more life experience you've had, which I think is part of the movie's charm too.
Great Criterion Blu-ray of Being There.
I don't know if I remember it coming out on them.
All right, my second and last choice, I chose 1999's Election.
Yeah.
Which just came out on Paramount Presents 4K. This is Alexander Payne's film starring Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon, and delivering what I would consider to be a top 5 performance of the 90s, Chris Klein.
He's So good.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but Kurt is obsessed with Chris Klein.
Obsessed with it. Well,
In
him
this
and
movie.
Josh Hartnett.
Did it start with American Pie?
No, it's him and Josh Hartnett. Kurt has a thing for both of them.
I'm obsessed with. I think Josh Hartnett is one of my favorite actors ever, but Chris Klein in this movie is very, very important. In Election, Matthew Broderick plays a high school English teacher in Omaha, Nebraska, and the story takes place during a class presidential election, basically between a overachieving student named Tracy Flick, played by Reese Witherspoon, who will do anything to win, and Chris Klein, who is the popular sort of jock, very simple-minded boy who, I don't even know how to describe his performance, but he's just so sweet and so dim.
Kurt's enamored.
It's just earnest.
It's just incredible stuff. And Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon's characters are essentially at war with each other. And it's just really a dark, mean little comedy from the 90s that I've seen many times over the years. And there's a real Midwest kind of, attitude about it that's easy to recognize if you come from that area of this country. And it holds up. And this 4K is excellent. Really, really fun. There's a great Criterion Blu-ray of it as well that came out a few years back. So there's a lot of different versions of it on physical media. But if anyone hasn't seen Election or hasn't seen it in a while, it's just delightful.
Yeah, I've not seen it since high school, and I've been meaning to revisit it.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it since about, I think, high school or early college as well. And I watched it with Kurt, and oh my God. I was like, I'm just going to come in. I have stuff to do. I'm going to watch like 10 minutes of it. I remember it well. And I couldn't leave.
I think it's the only excellent movie Alexander Payne has ever made.
Well, Sideways, I love.
I don't think Sideways is excellent.
Wow. Really?
I think it's really, really great. But I'm also like, I find that monologue about wine delivered by Virginia Madsen, who's quite great. I find it to be among the silliest things ever committed to film. That's so out of place. It's such a misfire, all of it.
It's funny because Bobby does do a yearly wine trip to the Los Olivos area where Sideways is
And I do a performance of this bit.
I was just going to say, how do I get you to do this for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Some wine, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I've not had nearly enough. I'm surprised I haven't done it with you.
I love that movie, though. There's something so special about it. But I do think
too.
Election, is far superior.
Election is just, it knows what it's doing. And Reese Witherspoon is so funny.
Oh, she's nuts. It's amazing. Her physicality in that movie is really, really good.
Yeah. And just how it looks at the mechanics of an election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the high school level is just, it's genius.
Yeah, I almost went out and rented this. When we decided to do this episode, it was the first movie that popped into my head.
All right, Sam, take us home.
Okay, so this is like, I think we've even brought this movie up on the pod before. But this is 1997's Air Force One, baby.
Oh.
Wolfgang Peterson, Harrison Ford, Glenn Close, Gary Oldman.
Wait a minute. So you didn't watch JFK?
No.
I know. I was waiting for it. I was like, he's going to say JFK.
Like, no.
I was so hoping. I was going to do it if you weren't. Man.
Wow.
So no one watched it.
Nah, dude. I went Trash Central.
Yeah.
Air Force One is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So fun.
The first time I ever saw it was at the LaGrange Theater in LaGrange, Illinois, which was a $2 theater back in the day. And across the street from it was a Hollywood Video. And the LaGrange Theater would get movies so late that my older brother and I went to see Air Force One at the LaGrange, loved it so much. So we walked across the street to Hollywood Video and bought a previously viewed copy of it on VHS and watched it again that night.
Wow.
Wow.
The original day and date.
Hell yeah, baby. This is an excellent movie. Harrison Ford plays the president. The conceit of this movie is that the US and Russia have teamed up to get rid of a communist radical in Russia. They successfully complete that mission. And while the president is flying on Air Force One back to the States with his whole cabinet and his family, it gets taken over by radical Russian communists who try to hold him hostage and the entire plane hostage.
In order to release this radical from prison, right?
Yes. It is so awesome. It is one of those movies that starts and doesn't really stop the whole time. I had not watched the 4K of it, but Kurt, you and I had a conversation probably a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, about you talking to me about how great the 4K looked. And you were right. It looks incredible.
I ordered the 4K the day that Biden won the election. I remember, I have a vivid memory of, I took him to a doctor's appointment and I was sitting outside in the car waiting for her. And
you're like, you know what?
There were people cheering in the streets while I was ordering Air Force One on 4K, feeling very patriotic.
They were actually cheering for you, and that's all. This movie is a 150-star masterpiece. I don't know what to tell you.
The lead Russian terrorist is played by Gary Oldman in this movie.
There is a speech which he gives to the first lady, which ends with, I'm going to try not to yell this, but he screams it in the movie. He's going, "You're going to lecture me about war? Don't!
Do you want to lecture me about the rules of war?"
It's so awesome. It's not the first time that I saw Gary Oldman, but I feel like it was one of the first times that I remembered him. He is insane in this movie.
And very convincing as a Russian terrorist.
Oh, without a doubt. I don't know if you remember this, but the original theatrical poster for this movie is Harrison Ford's face with a plane underneath it. And it says Harrison Ford across the top of the poster, and it's underlined. And it says Harrison Ford is the president of the United States.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
Wait, do we think that Air Force One is a redo of Die Hard in a way?
Yeah, it's Die Hard on Air Force One.
Because it's Alan Rickman and Gary Oldman to me are incredible villains, but kind of the same tenor.
It's the same way Speed is Die Hard on a bus. This is Die Hard on
Under Siege, Die Hard on a boat,
One of my all-time favorite Jerry Goldsmith scores is Air Force One.
I was just humming it all day. It's so good. Honestly, if people haven't seen this movie or if you haven't seen it in a long time, some of the CGI looks a little whack these days, but it's so fun. It's so good.
So good. You like this one, Bobby?
It was a very important movie in my early development. I remember the VHS I purchased at Sam Goody. My dad took me. He was like, "You'll love this movie. I'll even let you buy it." And I was like, "What?" And it was rated R. And I was so happy.
The VHS had that great trailer on it for Alien Resurrection.
Don't I know it?
Oh man, I don't remember that.
Oh my God. It's the shot of a starscape, and it's this high-pitched little girl's voice singing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star."
Yeah, it's so good.
As the ship is coming into frame, and it's just her voice echoing, and there's no music other than that.
I don't think I can't watch that trailer on my Alien quadrilogy box set because it is there.
Is it the original teaser for the movie?
Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
It is.
And then it pushes in on Sigourney in the
I like
cryo
Sigourney.
Chamber.
Yeah, I was like, what is
I was
that?
Is that how you say it? I've been saying it wrong all these years.
I always do that. It pushes in on her in the cryo chamber, and then the doors open up and you see her or whatever, and then the music cuts to intense action music, dun 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 dun. It's so good.
It's incredible. So yeah, I would say go out and buy Air Force One right now, if not just in hopes that there's going to be an Alien Resurrection teaser in front of it.
If only. I mean, yeah, that's the best political movie ever made, so that's a good place to end this. Any honorable mentions? Bobby, you want to give us a couple of the ones you didn't talk about?
Okay, well, Battle of Algiers, I think, is amazing. Wag the Dog, I think, is hilarious.
Yeah, definitely great.
I think Dave.
Yeah.
Not Dick. I mean, Dick is great, but Dave is really great, too.
Dave's one of my favorites.
I love Dave. I think it's super cute with Sigourney.
Sigourney.
I love Sigourney. And we didn't even get into the biopics of presidents. That's a whole...
It's because Sam didn't do his homework and watch JFK finally.
Get the fuck out of here, man. You know what I did almost watch, though? Sum of All Fears. I was like, we're going political. Let's go Jack Ryan.
Yeah, watch Jack Ryan films. That's all I'm going to say.
Did you get the Sum of All Fears 4K from Kino?
No, but
Or from Paramount, sorry.
There's a Tom Clancy collection. I think they're all Blu-rays, but...
I bet they're 4Ks. There might be a version with 4K, because all those movies are on 4K. I have Patriot Games and Hunt for Red October. I've never seen Sum of All Fears.
Neither have I, but doesn't it start off with a nuke going off in America?
I don't know. I was only concerned about the Harrison Ford ones.
Sure.
Yeah. American President. Love that.
Oh, I love American President. The Contender. I love The Contender.
The Contender.
State of Play.
What's that one?
It's a
State of
Ben
Play is good
Affleck.
with Rachel McAdams.
Yeah. Russell Crowe.
I've never seen State of Play. $4 on Blu-ray on Amazon right now, if anybody's interested.
I definitely saw it in theaters while we were in college.
Olympus Has Fallen.
I considered it.
Okay. Let's not get carried away.
London Has Fallen. Angel Has
Oh
Fallen.
my God.
Okay, before we go, it's time to put wishes out into the physical media universe for movies on formats that they do not yet exist on. I wish for a 4K of Jerry Maguire, an individual released 4K of Jerry Maguire from Sony.
I wish for a 4K of Snow Angels from Kino.
I wish for a Blu-ray release of Steven Soderbergh's Solaris.
Snow Angels.
Yeah, honestly, there's never been anything more than a DVD release of this movie. I don't even know if it's good. That's like, I haven't seen this movie since I saw it in theaters in college, and it really like moved me then. David Gordon Green.
Yep.
Sam Rockwell, Kate Beckinsale, Amy Sedaris.
God, Sam, you're on this Kate Beckinsale in the snow situation.
Ooh, Whiteout Snow Angels.
Yep.
Double feature.
Was that Serendipity?
Oh,
Which one was that?
there is some snow in there too.
I just remember her in a little cute hat and gloves.
With City Hall's John Cusack in it.
Oh God, City Hall.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? This movie, I would love to revisit this movie on not a DVD.
I'm with you. I remember loving it and haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
I understand your concern about Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, this is, of course, Cameron Crowe's late 90s Tom Cruise starring movie about a sports agent who leaves his job and tries to make it on his own by representing a kind of up-and-coming NFL football player played by Cuba Gooding Jr. This was just one of the great Tom Cruise performances, in my opinion, and was released on 4K from Sony in the very first volume of their Columbia Classics box sets.
Going for $1,000 on Amazon right now.
Yeah.
God.
Oh my God.
And a lot of those have been released individually since, such as Lawrence of Arabia, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is coming out in that Frank Capra box set.
Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove, League of Their Own just came out. That was in that first one as well. But there is no plans for a solo Jerry Maguire at this point. There is a foreign version of it. I don't remember where from, but not the cheapest to get that either. So, here's hoping it'll happen at some point. Bobby?
Yeah. Have y'all seen, I don't know why I said Solaris. I've never said that before in my life. Solaris. Have you seen it?
I've not seen this version.
I have. I think I saw it in the theater and had no idea what the Tarkovsky Solaris was at that point. So
Yeah.
I certainly don't think I appreciated this movie.
Have you seen it since?
No, I haven't seen it since.
It's a really frightening and lovely chamber drama. It's very different than the Tarkovsky movie.
Okay.
It's very centered around the romance of the story and the love lost and that central conflict. But the movie is essentially about a transmission that's sent from a ship orbiting this strange planet back to Earth about something inexplicable that's happening to the crew. And so a psychiatrist goes and boards this spaceship or this station and begins to understand what's happening to the people on the ship.
A colossal bomb, right?
Totally. I think it got a cinema score of F. It's beautiful.
No,
the
I love
reviews aren't
this
bad
movie.
either. You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen both. I love
both.
Very
Yeah,
different.
I love both.
Very beautiful.
There's something very sad and haunting about the new one that the original is intellectually and artistically like rigorous and amazing. The Soderbergh one is oddly emotional.
Yeah, I'd like to see this.
It was in like the Contact category for me.
Yeah.
It feels like Contact in a way. Like sort of, or I guess Interstellar, but I didn't like Interstellar. I don't know.
I hate Interstellar.
Sorry, Kurt.
Ugh, don't get me started.
Shots fired, folks.
Everyone cries in that movie. Everyone gets a
I know.
crying scene.
Oh my God.
where they just cry.
Including me, Bobby. Including me.
Yeah. And me, the tantrum I was having. Yeah.
I can see Criterion doing this because I know it's popped up on the channel here and there.
It's kind of strange because it hasn't, I don't know who its fans are now or what it would be like if it were 20 years later brought back into the conversation. But I think it's worth resurrecting because I think it's quite well made. And if nothing else, it's very beautifully made. So having an upgrade would suit it very well. And it's never been on Blu-ray. It was just a DVD release.
Okay, that's it for our episode. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Bobby, for joining us, as always.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Sam, and thank you to Kimberly for producing. Thank you to Patrick LeBon for our incredible music. We will be back next week with a very special guest.
Ooh, yeah.
To talk about
a fucking radical trilogy.
Yeah.
A triumphant trilogy.
We're talking Bill and Ted, all three of them next week with our good friend Dagan. So please join us.
We'll see you then.
Get off my plane.